Welcome to the Scott and Brandon Show, a show where we entertain the pressing biblical, social, and political issues of today. My name is Scott Jackson, and this is my co-host, Brandon Ulmer. Our aim is to have open conversations about serious topics and to build up the body of Christ in the process. If you're interested in theology, applying scriptural principles to our daily lives, or political and social issues as they relate to Christianity, you'll definitely want to tune in. This is the Scott and Brandon Show. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Scott and Brandon Show. My name is Scott Jackson, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Brandon Ulmer. And today, we've got kind of a continuation of last week. So last week, we talked about, this was obviously pre-Trump inauguration. Today, we sit after Brandon's self-declared national holiday of Trump's inauguration yesterday. And so last week we talked a little bit about what maybe we could expect to see Donald Trump enact within his first 100 days. Me and Brandon were just talking pre-roll about Donald Trump's inauguration and how busy it's been over the last 24 hours. There's lots of stuff that's happened. So we're excited to dive into that. But before we kind of hit our subject matter, real seriously, I do want to just remind everybody, go ahead and subscribe to the show. It helps us out a lot. Go ahead and comment on an episode if you've got thoughts or if you agree or disagree. We'd love to hear that down in the comments. And go ahead and leave us a review. We'd like to see what people think about the show and how maybe we can improve or how you like it and what we're doing right, maybe. So that would be greatly helpful. We'd certainly appreciate that. And you're also able to find us on Facebook and Instagram, and we post clips of the show throughout the week as well, and as on YouTube Shorts with TikTok's temporary salvation. We might that might be the only way to post little short fun video clips online. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what President Trump has in store for TikTok. So Brandon, how's everything over in your neck of the woods before we jump into the president?
It's awesome. I'm super excited. I think I can speak with all of our listeners, if they're Trump supporters, obviously. If you're not a Trump supporter, then obviously I can't speak for you. But maybe you're feeling it. But I think there is this breath of almost like fresh air. Yeah. There's been a burden that's almost feel like it has been lifted. Obviously, not in the same way as Jesus, right? I'm saying that he's Jesus because he's not, right? He's still, a human being. But at the same time, it's finally feels like in the sense of, hey, I can have an American dream and I can go out there and I can pursue it and I can go for it. And not going to be hindered, right? I'm excited because it's like I'm waiting for him to. I don't know if he signed one executive order yet. I was trying to find out because he signed a lot yesterday. He didn't sign all of them as he said he would. Maybe we'll talk about that here in a second and why that is. But the one where he's not going to tax bonuses. Yeah, overtime and tips, right? I mean, as a way of rewarding Americans for working hard, right? You should keep your stuff. So, I mean, besides that, I'm already starting to dive into the stuff, but
no worries.
I'm doing really good over here. We're expecting a winter storm later today, so that should shut things down. Yeah, as usual, we're not used to snow. This area is not used to snow. I'll put it that way. And so when that's the case, people don't know how to drive in the snow. So, it's fantastic. It's Trump-tastic, actually. I am Trump-tastic.
Hey, there you go. That's great. And in regards to your question on the executive order, I don't think he signed that specific one just yet, but he did halt IRS hiring. So
nice.
It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, well, this is tax season, so they're always so.
Yeah.
I don't mind hiring more, for tax season.
I do.
We process taxes.
We don't need more of them.
And then, if they're just temporary, I don't mind seasonal tax workers you're hiring because you need to help process the hundreds of millions of taxes you're about to receive.
Yeah, then we'll all get notifications that our refunds are behind.
Because there's not enough workers.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Oh man. But man, so let's go ahead and let's just jump into it. We've got Donald Trump was inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States yesterday.
Less than 24 hours ago. By the time of this recording, because we recorded super early, so less than 24 hours ago.
Yeah, less than 24 hours ago. Yep.
President, 47th president of the United States.
Yes, and man, it's hard not to be excited, especially if you did vote for Trump. There was this kind of annoying lull between election day and inauguration day that we had to wait for. But even before that, we kind of got a taste as to how effective President Trump's administration would be, in stark contrast to President Biden's administration. One thing that I found actually quite funny about the inauguration yesterday is that in almost every camera shot, you had Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the background, and you could see how they were reacting, especially in Trump's inaugural address after his swearing in and everything. There was some times where Trump was hitting the Biden administration pretty hard about some failures that they had in their administration. The whole room is standing and applauding what Donald Trump is saying, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris just are glued to their seats. They're not moving. Yeah. So it is a little bit of a unique perspective, because that's not typically how congested, inaugurations are. I think the last inauguration that was held indoors was Reagan's second inauguration.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So, and it was also because of the cold.
Yeah,
so,
and it was 15 degrees up there. So,
yeah,
people standing out in that weather.
No, not at all. So, I just found that just visually very funny to watch whenever, Donald Trump is talking about renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, which to my understanding is happening. So I think that's great.
Well, I think he's already signed the executive order for it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That was one thing. And to rename to change the name back, which I didn't, I didn't know this because I think I wasn't paying attention at the time because I was just a dumb kid. But Obama obviously changed the name in Alaska from Mount McKinley.
Yeah. I think he changed it to Denali. Yeah.
Denali, yeah. And he switched it back to Mount McKinley.
Yeah.
Because said he was an awesome president who is being forgotten about.
And
it's going to be changed back to Mount McKinley.
Yeah, and like he had a portion in his speech yesterday where he was talking about American prosperity and expanding America and expanding American ideals, and that's actually incredibly popular with the American people right now.
Yeah.
But Kamala Harris and Joe Biden wanted no part of it because they just sat there, just stone-faced.
You did see them stand up and applaud when everyone else stood up and applauded when he mentioned the release of the Israeli hostages.
Yes.
Right. So obviously they stood up because that was political. That was a purely
and Joe Biden has been taking credit for that entire thing.
And obviously, that's just the credit doesn't even belong to him.
No, not at all. No,
yeah, we all know.
No.
Yesterday he would have sent in whatever he was planning on doing.
Yep.
And to get those hostages out.
Yeah.
So he pulled a Reagan, right? Because it was Reagan, who when he was running, right, and obviously then was elected, and then before his inauguration, he told Iran when Iran captured our embassy, and he was all in 1970, and Reagan said, "If those are not released, I'm sending in the Marine Corps," and that's what he did.
Yeah.
And then they released him. They're like, "Okay, here you go."
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, anybody who suggests that Hamas agreed to any sort of deal where Hamas doesn't control Gaza, anybody who thinks that they did that not because of Trump is just out of their mind. Because Joe Biden wanted to give Hamas everything. He was trying to push Israel to the deal that Hamas proposed, which is that Hamas maintains control of Gaza. Hamas can declare victory over the conflict, and that Israel doesn't have a right to go back into Gaza should Hamas violate the ceasefire.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump basically said, no, look, Israel can go back in if they need to. They can go back in at any time with America's backing. Hamas cannot continue to control Gaza. There has to be a different governing body. And hostages also have to be released. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Any deal with a terrorist organization is a bad deal. I'm not generally a fan of making deals, but I'm a fan of releasing hostages. So it's a catch-22 there, but it's a phased deal, and to my understanding, at least historically, when we've had these phased deals in the past, they never make it to phase 2. The guilty party, which in this instance would be Hamas, always violates the ceasefire. So
I think Hamas will obviously or tread lightly, I will say, because they know Trump's not playing around, and he means business. So whatever that means, I don't know what that would mean exactly. I don't think it means troops on the ground, but I do think it means some very targeted precision strikes.
Maybe.
Droned. You've been droned.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's finally good to have someone who's going to lead with strength, right? And now sitting back in the White House, because Biden had every opportunity to do exactly what Trump said he would do. Obviously, Trump didn't have to do it because it worked out.
Yeah.
But Biden had every opportunity. So, yeah, you can't credit Biden with this because he had every opportunity and he just failed.
That's exactly right. And it is nice to have somebody back in the White House that you know for sure actually cares about the country. Like, people out there listening, you guys might think it's kind of stupid that he renamed the Gulf of Mexico. Like, why change that? Or it's stupid that he renamed Mount Denali. Like, why change that? Like, why does that matter? And the reason why it matters is America, for probably the last, almost 50 years now, has kind of taken the attitude of, well, we don't need to expand anything. We don't need to expand our influence. We just want to export democracy to other countries and try to make little mini Americas around, but they're all their own country. And especially over the last 20 years, and I'm including Republican presidents in that, George W. Bush, primarily. I mean,
because there was no vision.
No, there wasn't. It was the Republicans only cared about less spending and lowering taxes, and they didn't care about anything else. They weren't talking about any serious issues that people actually cared about.
There was no vision for the country, and there was no ambition. And so Trump ushered in, yes, he called it the golden age, but he also ushered in a vision for America.
Yeah, he has got a vision moving forward.
That vision is that America is respected, America's military is empowered and grown, and that America becomes wealthier, right? But he also added something else, and I think it was really, really cool. And I don't know if he aims to have it done within his term or just in general, but he said, we're going to Mars.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
We're going to plant our flag on Mars. Yes,
which is very like JFK-esque, right?
Yes.
JFK had that moment where he said we're going to be on the moon. And
so yesterday, what you had was Trump was summoning in really the presidency, right? The American presidency, by summoning in the presidents from history.
Yeah.
That have been great, right, and have done great things, but he's really summoning them all in, the embodiment of all the presidents. He was summoning them in to now this moment by reiterating and saying, this is now what we're going to do, right? They went to the moon, we're going to Mars, right? Tariffs, which is obviously in reference to McKinley, right? Things of this nature, right? Things that he is doing. He's looked at presidents in the past, saw where America definitely was flourishing.
Yeah.
Now he wants to bring all of it back. So he is summoning them all back. And obviously he's going to establish his historical legacy in an amazing way. And I think truly he is going to usher in the golden age of America. And it's
Yeah, I
going to
tend to agree with
great.
you. Yeah. It is interesting because Trump is actually fairly historically literate. Like, it's easy to look at him and kind of dismiss him as the crazy orange guy, right? But a lot of what he says is true. Like, whether or not you agree with tariffs from an economic standpoint is irrelevant at this point. It doesn't really matter. Um, it's hard to deny the fact that America was its wealthiest when McKinley was around.
Yeah.
We were running on tariffs. And to my knowledge, we didn't even have the income tax yet.
Yeah.
So, the American government wasn't funded by Americans. It was funded by tariffs. And Americans had, more money to spend. And, the argument against tariffs is, well, it's just going to artificially increase the price for everything else. And while that may be true, it might artificially increase the price for some foreign goods. It's going to do two things, and especially if you pair it with either less taxes or no taxes, it's going to do two things. One, it's going to promote American industry, so things that are made here in America. Now, you might have to get the supplies overseas, and it might artificially increase the price of American products as well. But if you also pair it with lower taxes or no taxes, like Trump has floated, the Americans have more money to spend. I mean, look, if the stuff I buy at Best Buy is 20% more expensive because of a tariff, okay, but I'm not being taxed 35% on my paycheck every week.
Yeah.
I'm all right. I'm a net positive there. I'm still up like 15% of my income.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll take this. Like last year, I received a bonus from work, right?
Right.
And it was a nice little bonus until after taxes. I might as well not have gotten a bonus.
Yeah.
But, right, they gave this bonus to me, and because of taxes and what I was taxed at, it took it way down. So there was really realistically no point in giving a bonus.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's absurd. So yeah, with Americans now going to be keeping more of their money, it's going to be good and being able to make more at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's just ushered in also our energy.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, as he said, drill baby drill, and now signed an executive order allowing him to speed up process of these permits, so these energy companies can get in there and drill baby drill, as he says, because that's our liquid gold right there. We have so much of it, and we're just not tapping into it.
Well, and that's what I've never understood. Like, American politics, especially the ones on the left, because they're the ones who try to promote climate change and such. I don't know if that's the current term for that phenomena that they're trying to explain, but the argument has always been like, well, we can't drill because it's hard on the environment, and we don't want to use oil anyway because it's hard on the environment, but we're going to buy oil from foreign countries because we still need oil to function.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if we have it, why not just drill it ourselves?
Yeah.
And I mean, Trump said yesterday Trump said yesterday that we have more oil than we know what to do with. And if that's the case, I think America could be very wealthy, could be very well off, if we just access the oil alone, let alone, in conjunction with tariffs and lowering taxes on American citizens and so on and so forth. So, I think it's really exciting. Brandon, do you want to kind of give everybody maybe like a broad brush overview as to everything that you're aware of that's happened over the last 24 hours? Because I think you're a little bit more informed on that than I am.
Yeah, there's just so much that has transpired. And obviously, they had the inauguration yesterday. Let's start off here. We have the Coast Guard Commandant has already been terminated by the acting secretary for Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security, and which obviously executive order Trump signed yesterday for the placement and appointments of these personnel of his, he has chosen to be on staff, right? Yep. But that person has been fired. Admiral Linda Lee Fagan has been terminated by the acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Benjamin Huffman. All right, or Benjamin. I don't know how you say his name. Anyways, but he's been he terminated her. So because she's failed on the border. She's been heavily DEI focused, right?
Yep.
And Trump is going and he's attacking DEI, and I think he may have been one of the executive orders he
Yeah.
signed yesterday that rescinded DEI. I know we talked about that last week because
Yeah.
it's like coming. It is coming, right? And so that certainly did happen. So
yeah. And I want to touch on that for a second, because
Yeah.
one thing that he did sign into effect, now this specifically affects federal employees and such, but he's defining male and female and is requiring all federal employees, whether on any forms or anything, to identify with their sex.
Yeah.
And whether that's on their driver's license or their passport or any forms or anything they have to fill out, you're not allowed to check the box of rather not say, you are male or you are female. And that might be a little bit offensive to some people, and I'm sorry if it is, but I think it's right.
It is.
I think it's true because, like, okay, just for security reasons, right? Say there's a federal individual who is a man that identifies as a woman, and he has a passport. Okay, he should not be allowed to say that his gender is female on the passport, because the purpose of a passport is for identification.
Yeah.
Right. So it has to be accurate. It should be based on your sex.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to separate sex and gender, whatever. But I think what Trump did yesterday is right. I think defining male and female and requiring people to identify with their sex is the right thing to do. And I think it's a good step in that direction, kind of breaking away from that DEI nonsense that we've seen, especially in the government over the last 16 years or so.
Yeah. And so, and what's cool now is that corporate America is on board with that, because you saw, if you were watching the inauguration, I know you're working yesterday, but if you watched the inauguration, obviously, you saw all the big tech CEOs of the world there. You had Jeff Bezos and Zuckerberg, Cook.
Tim Cook was there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so forth. You had all these big wigs, and people were also wigging out on social media, and they were like, "How is this possible?" I think it was one of the I forgot which one, but also from The View. One of the lady. No, it wasn't from The View. It was Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow got on, and she was just like, "How is this even possible in America?" She was so shocked and unbelief. She couldn't believe why is corporate America sitting there, because corporate America, one, wants to make money, and two, they're not stupid. They know if they don't get in line, this is not going to be good for them, not going to be good for business, not going to be good for anything.
Well, and I was thinking about, because I saw all the big tech bros in the background. You saw the Apple CEO, Elon Musk was there, Mark Zuckerberg was there. You see all these guys in the background of Trump's inaugural address. And I saw where some people on the right were getting upset about that, because they're saying that Trump is abandoning his base. And I got to thinking about it. I was like, you know what? Trump is a TV guy. Trump is a guy who does everything with intention when he knows there's a camera there, right? So having all of the big tech bros in the background, I think Trump was honestly making a statement, because his first inauguration back in 2016, the media was against him. Social media was against him, especially in 2020 when he was running for re-election. The media was against him. Social media was against him. I think the statement that Trump was trying to make by having all of these big tech CEOs behind him is, they're on my side now. And I don't think Trump was abandoning his base by any means. I think what Trump was doing was showing the rest of the country, and especially the left, that his base is growing, and that what he is saying and what he is doing is actually incredibly popular with everybody from your hard right MAGA Republican in Central America, right, to the big tech CEOs. And I think it's just it is a picture perfect illustration as to how popular his policies are, and actually how large his mandate is.
Yeah.
He ended up winning the popular vote, which is unheard of. I think the last president to do that was Bush in his first election.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's been a long time that doesn't happen, especially with a character as supposedly divisive as Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I think there's maybe a little bit of purpose behind it because, like I said, Donald Trump's a TV guy, right?
Yeah.
He
It
knows
is.
what looks good on TV, which I think is a decent additional quality to have in your president. But
It is.
yeah, so it's I thought it was interesting. I thought it was cool, actually.
It was. Going on about the thing, another one that he signed yesterday, which is obviously going to cause issues in the court system, is on immigration. He signed an executive order on birthright citizenship.
I
Obviously,
saw that.
birthright citizenship is in the Constitution, right? If you were born, the baby's born in America, they are a U.S.
They're
citizen,
American, yeah.
right? And he wrote an executive order that stopped that, basically. Now, obviously, that's going to have to be contested in the court system. Does the president have the authority
Yeah.
to birthright citizenship? That's already in the Constitution. That's law.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to stick. Honestly,
I don't think it is either. I think it's kind of a reach.
It is. It is a reach. And is he being a dictator? Because now you have the anti-Trump. Well, see, he's being a dictator. He's trying to overthrow our law. No, he's not trying to overthrow our law. If he's trying to overthrow our law, he would have enacted the military right now. Right? But every president wants to test how far they can go.
Yeah,
or
that's exactly right.
See how far they can go, right?
Yeah.
And besides, I think the presidency at this point has been given so much power, probably even more so than our founding fathers wanted a president to have.
No, I think that's true. Yeah.
And, but besides that, but another thing that was really quite fascinating too yesterday is that he also declared, and I think he already signed the executive order on it. And for those that have experience, a loved one who has a drug abuse problem.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously, I have a family who deals with that drug abuse, and but he declared yesterday that the Mexican cartels are now terrorist organizations.
Yeah, which he said he was going to do.
Yeah, and for those that don't know exactly what that means and why that is so significant and important, is because once an organization has been now classified as a terrorist organization, that gives the president of the United States the power to exercise military, right, and to especially employ the Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC, special forces against the cartel. So special forces are going to be starting to go boots on ground and eliminating these guys.
Yeah.
He has declared war on the cartel. Which, obviously I think needed to be done, but at the same time, it does, I am worried for our special operator guys. I saw a thing on, I forgot his name, but he's a former Delta Force operator. And he was actually on the one podcast, not Joe Rogan, who's the other guy.
Sean Ryan.
Yeah, Sean Ryan. He was on there with Sean Ryan. And he's just like, here's the thing, though. And he did offer this, but in every situation scenario, you have risks. You certainly do.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, our operators are good, but the cartel have been there, forever. How many years? They know the terrain. They know the territory. They're a full built army, right? They're basically conventional, and and it's going to be a whole new territory for our special forces.
Yeah.
To be thrown into. They're so used to fighting insurgencies. insurgency operations against terrorist organizations and so forth. So that him saying that made a little cause concern, because that means a very high likely chance we're going to be losing some special operators. So I hope not, but just keep those guys in mind.
But I think one thing to not misunderstand is America's military is far superior to that of the military power of the cartels. So
by far.
I mean, and again, I think this kind of goes back to America's ability to win a war. I don't think we've explicitly talked about this, but before Trump, I really think America kind of lost the stomach to win a war. I think they lost the ability to do what is necessary to win a war.
That's because of its leadership. I think obviously World War II, had one of the greatest generations ever to respond. Yeah. Right. The average age was not 18. Right. At the World War II. It was actually 25.
Yeah.
And which quite interesting to look back on. And then after that, we haven't been able to win a war. I think, and I want to clarify this part. That doesn't, just because we haven't been able to win a war, and I blame the leadership for that. But every time there has been a war, it has invoked a surge in the military, right? The millennial generation responded heavily to 9/11.
Yeah.
And, I've heard it said that the millennial generation that joined the military and served is also one of the greatest generations to serve. We kicked butt. We did a lot over there. But obviously our hands were also tied in a lot of ways as well, right?
Well, and then the president just spit in everybody's face who served over there by pulling out the way he did.
Yeah, and that certainly pissed me off, for sure. And because that could have been handled so much better. I certainly agree we needed to get out of there, but not in the way that he did.
No,
right? He jacked that one up.
Yeah, so big time. I think that will be. If the history books aren't written by liberals, that should be in there. So.
But going back to some things, the other thing that Trump signed is his old policy, remain in Mexico.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is a good policy.
It is a very good policy. If you want asylum, then you remain in Mexico, right? You pretty much submit your ticket over there, whatever the building you had to go to do that.
Yep.
Say, hey, you want asylum, then, hey, we will contact you when we are ready to do that. And I think yesterday they also shut down the Border Patrol app. The Homeland Security, all these illegals are claiming asylum or whatever through the app or whatever the case is. I think they shut that down yesterday as well.
That's good.
So, but that was really cool to see. Like he reinstated the remain in Mexico. All right. So important stuff. So he's already tackling the immigration crisis. In conjunction with that, also reinstituted continuing the building of the wall down there.
Yeah.
So, which again, all important stuff because the Biden administration was trying to sell off the
parts
wall.
Of the wall. Yeah.
The wall, which was stupid. But before we continue on, Trump, did you see what Biden did with the few moments he had left of his presidency?
I know he pardoned like 1 million people, including his son.
His son is already done, but he pardoned, his family.
Yeah, the rest of his family, yeah.
Yeah, I think which is more specifically his siblings. I think he pardoned.
Okay.
I'll have to double check that, but or our viewers can double check that. But I think it was his siblings, not his like wife and things like that.
Sure.
All right. But another thing is that he also pardoned Fossey and Milley, General Milley.
Yeah, General Milley, yeah.
Retired General Milley. Which I didn't really care for General Milley anyways. I thought he was
he was lame.
Yeah, he was very weak.
Yeah.
And wasn't a very good military leader. But, and Fossey. So that, the experts are talking about how that was not a good thing that Biden did because now it's establishing and setting a precedent. A matter of fact, Trump, I forgot which room he was in because he was so busy yesterday. signing and doing things and doing all the historical traditional things that the president does the first day they're inaugurated. But in one of the rooms where he was signing some things, one of the reporters asked him, what do you think about him, Joe Biden signing these pardons right here? And I thought it was very honorable in how Trump handled that. There was certainly a moment right there where he could have berated Joe. He could have done that, and he said, "No, we're not. That's not the time or place right now. We're not going to talk about that right now." So
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, he has an opinion on it and stuff, but he certainly, just let it go. So I thought that was good. But going back to it, yes, he signed a pardon for Fauci, how you say
Fauci.
it, Fauci, and General Milley, obviously his siblings. Which, why would you need a pardon if you're not guilty of a crime?
Right, like a preemptive pardon doesn't really make any sense to me. I think it's just because that he's worried that Trump is going to do all of this um, lawfare that, fun fact, has been happening against Donald Trump for the last
Yeah,
4 years. Like Fauci, man, he was way out of line during COVID. I mean, we could talk about that. I don't know how much YouTube will let us talk about that. But I mean, it's known now that like the source of COVID was from a lab leak. The lab leak theory was demonized by Dr. Fauci. We were all posed as idiots for anybody who believed it. Dr. Fauci started out the pandemic by saying masks didn't work, and then if later on he said masks are the greatest thing ever. You have to wear 3 of them. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a little telling as to, because on one hand, you could say, okay, Biden's just doing this because he's worried that his political opponent is going to go after people that he doesn't agree with, which isn't true, because we've seen Trump as president before, and we've actually seen him in this position, but it was with Hillary Clinton in 2016 when he got elected. Everyone's worried that he's going to throw Hillary in jail, and he never did. And you know why? He said, I don't think it would have been good for the country if I were to do that.
yeah,
Which shows that he has a little bit of common sense. So this preemptive pardon, you can use the excuse of, especially with Fauci and Milley, well, he just didn't want Trump to go after his political opponents. He's trying to look out for him on his way out. Or you could look at it and say, yeah, maybe they might have not done everything right. Like, because Milley's been accused of having secret phone calls with China during Trump's presidency, and Fauci obviously was the tyrant that he was during COVID, and he was basically running the country during that period of time, which is also very frustrating. So, and one thing that everybody's talking about right now is what Joe Biden said when he got elected about pardons. He said, quote, "You're not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons," talking about preemptive pardons.
yeah,
And now he's being run down the road, and I think rightfully so.
yeah,
You know, with his approach to pardons in his final days in office, there's an article on Fox News that says, quote, "President Biden previously pledged that he would not issue preemptive pardons before leaving office, telling CNN that he would take a totally different approach to the justice system compared to then President Trump." In December 2020, CNN anchor Jake Tapper asked Biden if he was concerned about rumors that Trump would dole out a wave of preemptive pardons for some of his closest confidants. Biden said, quote, "Well, it concerns me in terms of what kind of precedent it sets in how the rest of the world looks at us as a nation of laws and justice." And I think Biden's dementia kicked in, because he just did the total opposite of all of that
yeah.
a couple days ago.
He did, and then obviously within hours of meeting Trump yesterday as
Right,
well.
right,
Yeah,
right.
he signed
Yeah,
more pardons.
he
Yes,
signed more. Yeah.
yes, yes. So it's absolutely crazy. But going back to Trump, let's talk about better things than Biden. Trump signed, and I'm looking at him right now. I'm looking at all 78 of these executive orders that President Trump revoked yesterday. He signed an executive order revoking 78 of the executive orders that Biden has enacted. Obviously, a
Yeah.
lot more, but specifically these 78 because these are all targeted. I'm not going to go through the list of all 78, but you can do that on your own or our audience and just look at the 78 he revoked, and you can look at them and you can see exactly there is a common theme running through all this, and that is DEI, CRT, everything that is anti-American, basically, right?
Yeah.
It is what he revoked yesterday, right? And which is a good thing. But pressing on here with some more of the executive orders that Trump signed, which is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. Obviously, we talked about immigration. We've talked a little bit about the climate and drilling. He's authorized, right, the drilling, and the speed up process of permits for drilling and so forth there. I'm refreshing my browser because it decided to freeze up on me. I was like, great, come on. This is what I'm trying to go through these executive orders that he's signed. Um, so, all right, I thought this was really good, right? Is that he signed executive order revoking the security clearance of those who were involved in the investigation of the Hunter Biden laptop. Right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we knew that was a story that they were purposely saying one never happened, or whatever the case is, right? The left denied the entire time. Then it came out, no, all this was true, right? And they covered this stuff up. They covered this up, including the investigators, right? Because they obviously were politically biased and motivated in their investigation process, and he revoked their security clearances. So good luck keeping your job, which obviously you can't. If you work for the federal
Right.
government, security clearance is required for that position. You can no longer hold that position. Right? So their security clearances have been revoked for 50 people.
Yeah.
50 of them, and these are not just your low guy on the totem pole that works for the federal government. These are big wigs who are up there. Obviously, in keeping with his promise, he created the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE.
Yeah.
All right, so he signed that yesterday. This is going to give Elon Musk an office with a staff of about 20, I think it said, right there. So keeping it small to start doing what they're supposed to be doing, which again, we know they're supposed to be doing government efficiency stuff, but how they're going to do that, who they're going to look at first, all is going to be fascinating to see what comes out of Doge. But Elon Musk is running the show, and this is why Vivek Ramaswamy has bowed out of assisting or helping out in the Doge department because it is speculated he is going to be running for governor of Ohio.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. He's an Ohio native, and
yeah,
the current Ohio governor, he's incredibly unpopular. Republican Mike DeWine, but I use Republican loosely. Yeah, he's very unpopular. He's actually, he's in his second term, and he got really, really unpopular during his second term. So he's not. I don't
he's
know
a
if he.
rhino. See a rhino?
Yes, that.
He is a
Yeah,
rhino.
yeah, he would be. And I don't like to throw that term around a whole lot. But he's very just inauthentic. He's not true to any genuine conservative values or anything like that. So Vivek Ramaswamy would be a nice change of pace. I think he's actually a conservative, which is good. Yeah. So that's obvious. This is the state I live in, so I care about that. So
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
yeah,
I am sure you do.
yeah. He's supposed to announce that next week, though, I think. And just while you're looking at some more executive orders, just maybe like to put this in perspective for our listeners, this isn't even very like classic Donald Trump. Like if you compare this to his first time in office, the amount of executive orders he signed on day one was one back in 2016, 2017 when he was inaugurated. Joe Biden signed 9 on his first day. Donald Trump signed 26 yesterday.
And he's expected to do almost 100 in his first week.
Now, Joe Biden did 22 in his first week and 42 in his first 100 days. Donald Trump, his first time around, did 1 on his first day, 4 in the first week, and 33 in the first 100 days. Now, up until this point, Joe Biden's amount of executive orders was record breaking. And yeah, Donald Trump just kind of blew that out of the water yesterday. So, and I think the reason is because this previous administration has caused so much damage to American society. There's lots that has to be undone. And I think that's what Trump is doing. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of executive orders because it basically feels like we just have a king that changes offices every 4 to 8 years. So we just get a new king every 4 to 8 years, right? And he just kind of comes in and waves his pen and does whatever he wants. But if the other side is going to use it,
then
we have to use it to try to restore some order.
And Congress has the authority to revoke.
They do
these executive orders.
They do.
Authority that they gave the president. Yeah. So they do have the authority to do that, and they need to maybe do that. But until that happens, we're just going to have this game where it goes back and forth. I'm going to just sign this, you sign that.
I'm just going to undo everything you did. Yeah.
It's just going to go back and forth. Now let's look at this as well, because this is obviously controversial. Obviously, we're talking about, and I believe, on our podcast, obviously, yes, we're conservatives, we're conservative Christians, which obviously is horrendous for a lot of people to hear, right?
And we're white men.
Yes, and we're white. But looking at, because I do like to be unbiased as well. Trump did sign an executive order yesterday pardoning, right? Going back to the whole pardoning thing, it's either 1,500 or 1,600 people who were part of the January 6th riot.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I haven't done too much digging into this. From what I do gather, these are not people who did commit, I guess like any sort of major violence or anything like that. They were there. They walked into the Capitol building, things like that. But they were not destroying things. They were not stealing things.
Well, and that's one thing to consider about January 6th is most people who were in the Capitol building were kind of just wandering around.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't really destroying anything. So
they were just like, maybe just like, I'm
here in the Capitol.
And they've been sitting in prison the entire time. Honestly, should they have done that? No, they should have not done that. But
they shouldn't have been in prison for the last over 1,000 days.
Yes, for really minor stuff, it's ridiculous. They've been sitting there this entire time. So obviously, I think Vance even said it too. Like anyone who actually committed violence that day, is not getting a pardon. But anybody who did these minor things, all right. So we're talking about just small potato stuff. As from what I'm gathering, we're not talking about getting anything major like why Biden pardoned his brother, right, and his son, and things of that nature, right? Because they committed obviously potential. Well, we know Hunter did, but as far as his siblings getting pardoned, makes you wonder what crimes did you commit. All right. So there is that. So Trump did do that, and I'd rather had the justice system play out, and these people then been released. But obviously, they've been sitting there for over 4 years.
Yeah,
and the justice system wasn't doing them a favor, so Trump did them a favor.
Yeah,
which I think was good. I think was good. I would much have rather had the justice system handled it, but
obviously they're not. So Donald Trump kind of
he took that on.
Yeah, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Which again, I'm all for. If you actually committed some crimes, especially violent crimes, I'm all for you sitting in jail. Like that's perfectly fine with me. But unnecessarily keeping people in jail because of political reasons is a little ridiculous to me.
Yeah. And another cool thing as well is that Trump did sign, and this is, I think this made pretty big news yesterday as well. I mean, so many things made it big news, but unless you were watching everything, you're missing it. So Trump did sign an executive order, or stating that he would this week, that he is restoring all those who were kicked out of the military because they did not take the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, I think he said that in his inaugural
He
address.
did. He did. And not only that, but they would be restored back to duty with full back pay.
That's incredible.
Which is incredible.
That's incredible.
And so a lot of guys were kicked out of the military because, obviously they didn't want to take the vaccine. And because of that, they were kicked out of the military, which is, a violation of their rights right there.
Right.
I'm like, man, it makes me wish that I had not taken the vaccine when I was in the military, because I took it because I was in the military. It's like, you will take this. And I was just like, well, and I had to just say, it was one of those tough decisions. So,
well, it's hard because it's your livelihood too, and you've got a family, and that's a hard position to put, especially the man of the house in, right? When you're in traditional families like us, and you're one of the sole providers for your family. That's a tough decision.
So that was really cool to see. I'm glad he did that, because all those guys were, improperly treated, and they were.
It was such a disrespect to their service too, because it's like, they put in some of these guys had way more than 4 years invested in the military, and any amount of time in service in the military is due for honor and respect. And I have a great respect for the people in our military.
Much as exciting as yesterday was, with, him being inaugurated as president, which was obviously astounding and fascinating. Absolutely loved it. Today's going to be another exciting day. And he is just going to go to town, signing more executive orders. I mean, who knows what else he does. But I thought this was really cool because, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that, under President Trump, right, him talking about, he was given a vision for America, right? And he was giving us the way forward, talking about, hey, we're going to go to the moon. We're going to go back to Mars. We're going to go to Mars. We're going to take over Mars. We're going to do Mars, right? We're going to put our flag there. We're going to usher in more wealth into America, because we've been sending our wealth out and things of that nature. He was putting America first. And I thought this was really remarkable. His wife, Melania, as well, right? Yesterday wore an outfit. Now, if anybody knows with Melania, she always wears these outfits, and there's always some sort of symbolism with the outfits that she wore. Yesterday, she wore an outfit that was completely American made, right? And which speaks volumes, because she went with an American designer, made in America, and that was just really cool to see, because it just goes to, it shows, hey, this is his vision for America, and his wife's vision. She's fully on board. Because most of these type of events like this, right? The politician or wherever will buy something that is, from overseas, right? From some European or whatever the case is. And not this case. Melania bought an American-made outfit that was made by an American designer. And this is stating, hey, we are putting America first in our products, in our manufacturing. And so that was just absolutely astounding to see right there. So the Trump family, all about it. And this was certainly a momentous moment too, because as he was given his inaugural address yesterday, he was stating in there, he had been targeted more than any president who ever has, which I certainly believe, right? Through the justice system certainly went after him. It was fully weaponized against him, which was one of the things he did sign yesterday in regards to the justice system that is going to be basically deregulated. But anyways, he was obviously targeted by the justice system and hindered by the justice system. And yesterday was basically retribution, right? You could see that even his sons, who had to go in court and testify in court and due to their business and things like that, obviously, again, all found not guilty of things. Obviously, Trump is the only one who's been found guilty here, or was convicted. And with that, he was, in a way, restored back to the position that he should have never been put, labeled as. I would put it that way, right? And that was just had to be a very sombering moment for the Trump family, which I think was, good for them. It was absolutely good for them to finally receive, in a sense, justice. Injustice was done to them, and now justice was, put back upon them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a great moment yesterday, with everything, during the inaugural event right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know I was monologuing there for a little bit with myself, and
yeah, dude, my internet just completely dropped out on me. I have no idea why. So yeah, I appreciate you taking over that.
Yeah, I was monologuing. I was so to catch you up to speed. I was talking about Melania, a little bit there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Melania. Did you see the outfit that she wore yesterday?
I did.
Okay. Do you know? Obviously, when Melania wears something, everyone pays attention.
Yeah.
Because there is usually some sort of statement or some sort of symbolism, obviously statement that she is trying to make. Do you know what it was yesterday that she was making with the outfit that she wore?
Not off the top of my head, no.
No. Her outfit was completely American made.
Oh, very cool.
And it was made by an American designer.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, which again, it speaks for putting America first.
Yeah, just a statement. I mean, yep.
Yeah, because a lot of these type of things, politicians, what do the ladies wear? Something European, whatever the case is. No, not yesterday.
Yeah,
America.
That's very cool.
America. Yeah, America.
Oh man. Well, obviously, lots of really good things happened yesterday. I think we're coming in on our 1 hour mark. So, is there anything specifically yesterday that we haven't addressed that might have happened, or something that you're looking forward to happening later this week?
I think we covered everything. He did mention, and this is what I'm really looking forward to, that he has a meeting with Putin.
Yeah.
So he does have a meeting with Putin. That is going to be interesting to see how that plays out, what comes of that, because obviously this war needs to end.
Yeah.
I think he did sign an executive order yesterday as well that halted America sending out any sort of aid or anything like that to any country for like 3 months. So Ukraine's not going to get anything from America for the next 3 months, which is obviously going to be hard on them because they've been pretty much getting an aid package every month.
Yeah, it'll be difficult for them for sure.
So he's got a conversation. Obviously, we know Russia's hard red line, and that hard red line is this: that they said will not be crossed. Ukraine will not be a NATO ally, and they've already said we're not agreeing to some 20-year peace deal where Ukraine is not allowed to be part of NATO for 20 years, because then 20 years later, we're going to be right back here again. Another generation of kids fighting and dying for nothing.
Yeah, just delays the inevitable.
Yeah, so so it's going to be interesting to see how does Trump navigate the waters on this one. That's going to be quite fascinating to see right there. A couple other things. He pulled us out of the Paris Climate Accord.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yes, so getting us out of the climate change, stuff like that. And he also pulled us out within 12 months of the end of the year. He signed this executive order yesterday. The U.S. will be removed or drop its membership from the World Health Organization. Because they disastrously handled the COVID outbreak and stuff of that nature as well. Plus, they're a politically motivated organization. Anyways, and the U.S. is the one floating the bill for them, paying $500 million a year to the WHO.
Yeah,
$500 million a year for them to be completely inept and incapable of doing their job.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Stupid.
Total waste of money.
So he pulled us out. So hopefully the World Health Organization just dies next year because the U.S. will be removed from it.
Yeah, they didn't do a very good job when the world needed them to. So
no, they absolutely sucked. So I think I mean, that's just in a nutshell the things of executive orders that he signed yesterday,
Yeah.
and the impact that those executive orders had. So certainly, I'll just repeat what he said. He's ushering in the golden age of America.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
It's definitely going to be fun. It is a lot easier to, it feels a lot lighter now that Trump has been elected. It's hard to deny that feeling. Even as Christians, we're supposed to not put our weight behind political figures, and obviously, God is sovereign over everything. We talk about that pretty much every show, but the things that happen in our country directly affect our lived experience, and I don't think there's anything wrong with being excited about your preferred political candidate having been elected. But it also seems to me that Trump's mandate is incredibly popular, especially his stance on immigration. I think it's like over 70% of the country are in favor of immediately deporting violent criminals. I think like 66% of the country is in favor of deporting even non-violent criminals. And I think it's like 51 or 53% of the country is in favor of deporting anybody who's illegal, regardless if they came over in the last 4 years or not.
Yeah.
So a majority of the country is very, very much in favor of Trump's immigration policy and a lot of his other policies that he's proposing. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how this week and the rest of his administration plays out. So,
well, let me just close this off. So, the Armed Services Committee yesterday did approve Donald Trump's defense secretary, Pete Hegseth.
Wow. Okay, that was one of the most controversial picks.
Was. Yeah. Well, and we didn't even talk about how well Pete Hegseth handled.
Oh my gosh, yeah, he did such a good job. Him, Marco Rubio.
But they approved him.
Yeah.
So that's a breath of fresh air right there. Pete Hegseth, which a guy who is not the norm. Right?
He's going to restore American warfighters is what he's going to do.
Yeah. He's not a retired general. He's not a retired admiral.
No.
Or defense contractor, right? He's just one of the low guys on the totem pole who's now been placed into a very prestigious position.
It's very cool.
Good for him. Only in America can stuff like this happen.
I agree.
If America is still around, right? And that's what Trump is preserving. He's preserving America and ushering in this golden age. So, I mean, I'll just close out on my side here, and I'll toss it back over to you. I hope everyone here today has a very fantastic day.
Hey, there you go.
The next 4 years, Trump-tastic day. This is exciting, even to my friends that I've got them who don't like Trump. I'm gonna tell them and wish them have a happy.
They gotta admit their life's gonna get a little easier. They gotta admit it.
It is. I mean, there's no way. I'm gonna ask them. I'm gonna I'm gonna give it some time.
Give it a little bit, yeah.
About hasn't occurred. Like, where is it? What are you? It blows my mind. It blows my mind. So
I'm still waiting to have a lib on the show. We haven't had one yet. I don't think it'll happen, but
I don't think
we'll see. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. We hope you found some enjoyment in the episode today. Obviously, Brandon and I are very happy with the election results and the fact that it's finally come to fruition yesterday. If you are as well, go ahead and leave it in the comments. If you're not, go ahead and let us know. Let us know what you think. We're always open to some dialogue here. So, go ahead and subscribe to the show. Helps us out a lot. Helps us get seen. Helps us grow a little bit. Like and share the show with your friends. Comment on the show. All of those things greatly help the show out. So we certainly appreciate all of that. And next week, I believe we're going to take a little bit more of a theological turn, if I understand our episode schedule correctly. So I think it's going to be good. I think we're going to be talking about the Holy Spirit and what is the baptism of the Holy Spirit. Is there one? Is there multiple? Is there not one at all? So yeah, it's gonna be a fun topic. If you're more in the theological vein of things, next week is definitely gonna be for you. So we're gonna go ahead and let you all go for this week, and we will see you all again next Tuesday.